Today we're going to be talking about the electrolyte balance in the blood. First, we are going to mention the major roles of sodium in the body. Sodium is one of the primary ions responsible for maintaining resting membrane potential. During depolarization, sodium floods into the cell to power nerve and muscle function. Sodium is an essential cation in the extracellular fluid due to its ability to determine the distribution of water among fluid departments. And the sodium gradient is important for the co-transport of other solutes such as glucose, potassium, and calcium as well.
Although American adults consume far more sodium than the body needs, averaging about 3,400 milligrams per day, the body actually only needs about 500 milligrams of sodium per day for performing vital body functions, such as conducting nerve impulses, contracting and relaxing muscles, and maintaining proper balance of water and minerals. Hypernatremia is the term used to describe an excess amount of sodium in the body, which is characterized by water retention, hypertension, and edema. Students can remember hypernatremia and its effects by associating it with big and bloated. On the other hand, hyponatremia is the term that describes a state of not having enough sodium in the body. Too little of sodium leaves the body in a depressed and deflated state, since large volumes of sweat and urine are lost and replaced by drinking plain water. Hyponatremia directly stimulates the adrenal cortex to secrete aldosterone, which is the salt-retaining hormone that helps to configure sodium excretion. Aldosterone targets the kidneys, which causes the tubules within the kidneys to reabsorb more sodium and secrete more hydrogen and potassium, so that the urine will contain less sodium chloride but more potassium, which makes the urine more acidic and have a lower pH. This is due to the fact that the body wants to hold onto as much sodium as possible during a state of hyponatremia. Some mnemonic devices to help remember these terms are, for hypernatremia, we can say, hypernatremia, the salt stream, draws water from every stream. Hyper means excessive or too much. Think of hypernatremia as hyperactive salt. Another mnemonic we can use for hyponatremia is hyponatremia like a sinking boat, too little, cells may glow. Hypo means below or less. Think of hyponatremia as hypoactive salt.
The second electrolyte that we're going to be talking about is potassium. And the major role of potassium in the body is that, along with sodium, potassium helps generate the resting membrane potentials and action potentials of both nerve and muscle cells. But potassium is highly concentrated in the intracellular fluid, not outside of the cell like the sodium is. And potassium is the greatest determinant of intracellular osmolarity and cell volume. And it is an essential cofactor for protein synthesis and other metabolic processes. Now I want to share what happens when there's potassium imbalances in the body, which is actually the most dangerous type of electrolyte imbalance. Firstly, hyperkalemia is a term used to describe an excessive amount of potassium in the body. And as seen on the image on the slide provided, if potassium concentration rises quickly, the excess potassium on the outside of the cell makes nerve and muscle cells become abnormally excitable, which can produce cardiac arrest. And therefore, hyperkalemia can be remembered by making the body tight and contracted. Meanwhile, hypokalemia describes the low and slow condition of the body when there is a deficiency of potassium due to sweating, chronic vomiting, diarrhea, excessive laxative use, aldosterone hypersecretion, or alkalosis. This is where the nerve and muscle cells are less excitable, which can lead to muscle weakness, loss of muscle tone, decreased reflexes, and arrhythmias from irregular electrical activity in the heart. Some mnemonics that we can use to remember these conditions is hyperkalemia, like a high-flying kite, too much potassium, heart might fright. And for hypokalemia, muscles on strike, too little potassium, bodies dislike.
Thanks for watching.